topic we started last week. Stop worrying and start living. Stop worrying and start living. A very interesting topic. The more I learn and research, the more I discover the real challenge we have as human beings. Why people destroy themselves, why people destroy their life unknowingly because of the mental charter we have created for ourselves and the mental model that the society has created for us. Remember last week, and I will repeat this statement every week because it's like the trajectory of the whole conversation we're having in this series on stop worrying and start living. The fact that challenges of life create worry for us. The worry creates anxiety. The anxiety creates depression. Depression creates hopelessness. And the hopeless situation leads to suicide. Even though we are focusing more on when it gets to the point of depression, because that seems to be an anchor between the action taken that lead to an unfortunate situation that creates worry and then anxiety and then depression and then hopelessness and consequently suicide. We have an anchor scripture that we read every week, and the reason is because this scripture paints a picture of how to solve this problem. He said, "For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh." That verse is full of meaning. When you look at the way people fight today, we fight like our war is in the flesh. We fight fellow human beings as if those human beings caused it. Whereas, more often than not, is the way we have interpreted the situation that is making us to even fight people. Because if we have not wrongly interpreted the situation, we will probably not fight people the way we are fighting them. So that wrong interpretation is a big challenge. He said, "For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh." Then he said, "The weapon of the warfare we face as human are not carnal. They are mighty through God to the pulling down of stronghold." Then he defined the stronghold. Casting down, how do we pull it down? Casting down imagination. Casting down imagination. Casting down imagination. And every item that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. And bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. Casting down imagination. Our mind are so powerful. We take an action. The action led to a consequence that we don't like, a bad situation. That bad situation creates worry. Why did it create worry? The interpretation of what has happened. That's what creates worry. My expectation falls short of what I eventually saw. My expectation falls short. I had an expectation, but that expectation falls short of my reality. And because the expectation falls short of my reality, it creates worry. I expect to have happiness, it brings sadness. It creates worry. And worry because of that expectation. That means if I don't have that expectation, or rather I correctly interpret the role of expectation in my life, probably I even have the wrong expectation in the first place. For example, Because of some people have gone for some seminars or hear some messages or preaching, or they believe that because they are Christian, they will not have misunderstanding in their marriage. Now, that's an expectation. If there is now a challenge between their end and their spouse, they say, but I've prayed and I've told God, and this is what God told me. But the reality of the current situation they face falls short of it, create worry. The worry leads to anxiety. The anxiety creates depression. Depression leads to hopelessness, and the hopelessness can lead to suicide. Casting down imagination and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. Cast it down. So the real warfare that we have to fight as human beings in this life is at the level of our mind, is at the level of thought. It's at the level of our mind, it's at the level of thought. And he said, cast down imagination. You know, it's so interesting about our mind as human. Someone just picked a call to you and said, so and so, who is a relative that you love, is dead. Because they saw someone dead and they saw the pulse of that person. And they were thinking, that person that died, that is his pulse. And they saw the phone in the pulse and they saw your number and called. Whereas, when that thing happened, people ran out of the car and the person that left the pulse, who was your relative, actually ran out of the car. But so was not there. So he didn't even come back. Or when he came back, he didn't see the pulse. Now they've called. Later, in calling to reach the person's maybe wife or other person that know him to break the news, the person said, no, this person just got home and you spoke to him on phone. You were sad before. Now you realize he was not dead. Immediately you become happy. Can you see the switch? No, just imagine the switch instantly. That's the power of our mind. That's the power of our mind. That's the power. Initially, you are depressed. Suddenly, you switch. That negative emotion was drained out. Why? Changing your thinking. Oh my God. Your thinking just changed. And that emotion of depression, of sadness of that person, losing that person, just drained out. Because now, your mind tells you, no, he's not dead. So what's changed? Thinking. Paul was saying through the inspiration of the Holy Spirit that look, if you can fight at the level of thought, you will avoid depression. And we'll be talking about some sign of depression today. If you can if you can fight and win at the level of thought, you avoid depression. You avoid worry. You avoid anxiety. You will now realize that the real cause of stress in our life is not the challenge at work. It's not the lack of money. It's not the issue in the family. It's the gap between expectation and reality in different area of our life. Casting down imagination and every item that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. Ensure you incapacitate it. Ensure you bring it under. Then he said, finally, brethren. So what do we think? Should we think about? Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on this thing. So things that are praiseworthy is what we should think about. Things that are virtuous is what we should think about. Things that are of good report is what we should think about. Things that are lovely is what we should think about. Things that are pure is what we should think about. Things that are just is what you think about. Things that are honest is what you think about. Things that are true. In fact, the first one is the biggest challenge. True. When the devil paints a picture in your mind, most of the time, the picture he paints is actually false, lies, deception. False, lies, deception. False, lies, because he's the father of liar. I see any thought that creates fear in you cannot be from God. Because in heaven, fear does not exist. God is love, and perfect love casts out fear. God is love, and perfect love casts out fear. So, as far as heaven is concerned, if there is a thought that comes to your mind and it creates fear, be rest assured it is from the devil. It is from the devil. That means that thing that the devil brought to your mind that make you to be afraid is not true. And you have been enjoying to only think of whatsoever things are true. That thought in your mind is not true. That thought in your mind is not true, and you have been enjoying. You should think of whatsoever things are true. 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 The devil is the father of liar. You know, if Christian can get this, you will now realize there's nothing to worry about in this life. No matter how bad the situation is, you can manage it. After all, the scripture says, anything that you're allowed to come to you is because you can handle it. Anything allowed to come to you is because you can handle it. Anything that you're allowed to come to you is because you can handle it. Most of the challenges we have as human beings happen at the level of thought. Most of the challenge we have as human beings happen at the level of thought. Please, if you have friends, relatives, allies who need this thought, who need this idea, it would be great if you can share this link with them. You know, a lot of our friends, our allies, are under the excruciating pain created by wrong thinking pattern and wrong thinking habits, because many have not learned how to think. And that when you change your thinking, you can change your life. He said, whatsoever things are true. In fact, that is one of the most important things. Anything you're thinking about that is bad situation, is that the real picture? Because whenever anything happens, you create a reality. A reality, not the reality. That's not the reality. The reality is that all things work together for good. The reality is that you are more than able to handle it. The reality is that what God could have pre-invented in his power, he allowed in his wisdom. That is the reality. But you create a reality, which is not the true reality, but you created it because of the way you think. You created it because of the way you think. Whatsoever things are true, is that things true? Is that the truth? One of the challenges of human beings in our world is our mental chatter. And I'll talk a lot about mental chatter in this conversation. According to dictionary, mental chatter or brain chatter is the high intensity inner monologue, and in some cases, dialogue that distract and interrupt activity in the external world. That is inner monologue that tells you what to do in different situations. The mental chatter is the reason why we face the same situation, we approach it differently. When you are faced with a situation, you always have a choice to react or to respond. That choice is always yours, to react or to respond. Your mental chatter make you to react or make you to respond based on your mental model, your belief system. Your mental chatter is created by your belief system. And if you have the right belief system about life, and that's why you should paint, you should always let the scripture guide your belief system. The truth of the principle of the scripture should guide your belief. When it guides your belief system, you will be able to believe what is truth. Else, the society will define it for you. There's no vacuum in life. If you don't create a mental model from the principles of scriptures, the world, the society, the environment, the educational system, we create one for you. We create one for you. Most of the time, it's always wrong. Most of the time, it's always wrong. Our mental charter is created by our environment. Our environment is created by our experiences. The environment creates your experience creates your knowledge of life creates your belief system, your mental charter. Your knowledge of life is the belief system, and this belief system creates your values as human beings. What you value affects the choices you make. Being here is a choice you make. What you value affects the choices you make, and your choices affect your action in life. The mental charter therefore creates the world you live in. Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you, we don't live in the same world. We live in different worlds. We don't live in the same world. We live in different worlds created for us by our mindset, mental charter. Like we live in a matrix. This is to say to all of us that we do not live in the same world. As a matter of fact, we all live in different worlds created by ourselves, for ourselves, in our mind. We create wrong mentality for ourselves as a result of our mental charter. Now, the bigger the gap between your expectation in life and your normal reality of life, the larger your pain, the larger your worry. The larger your pain, the larger your worry. Remember, worry will lead to anxiety. Anxiety will create depression. Depression creates hopelessness. Hopelessness leads to suicide. That means you need to first redefine your life expectation. If you want to solve the problem, you need to first define your expectation. The expectation you have created for yourself, is it what society gave you? As human beings, we are fond of comparing ourselves. Someone just left school, is comparing himself with his colleague. Even though he read the Bible, and the Bible says them comparing themselves with themselves are not wise. But he will look away from that one. He doesn't want that one. So he look away from that scripture. Because we are not running the same race in life. All of us have our race set before us. That's why fingers are not equal. That's why fingers are not equal. We all have our race set before us, and we have to run our race, and our race are different. Unfortunately, we compare ourselves. So people set expectation for themselves. At this time, I must be married. At this time, I need to get a job. At this time, I need to do a business. At this time, I need to have this money. At this time. Now, when they set that, they set it based on some expectation. Based on what the society defines. Now, when they fall short of it, and they see their friends or ally on Instagram posting what he's doing, on Facebook posting what she's doing, you know what happened? Depression started. They begin to talk about, my life. Why is my life like this? Why is my own like this? And some people even blame God. In fact, I was shocked recently. I was asked to counsel a lady after church service. And I was talking to this lady. I heard a word from her mouth. I could not believe it. He said, God has disappointed me. He was shaken. I could not believe it. I could not believe it. He said, God has disappointed me. I said, why? He said because he went for a job. God told him to go for that interview and I will get the job. And he got the job and he was sacked the same week. Because what he claimed he could do in the course of interview, really, he couldn't. And we're not patient with him for him to learn. They sack him immediately. Sack her immediately, rather. But where I'm going is that she said God disappointed her. That is the situation of many Christians today. They have a wrong expectation from God. Wrong expectation. Wrong expectation. Things they are supposed to prepare for and do themselves, they expect God to do it. So when God failed to do it, because the society say God will do it. But I know there's a law of personal responsibility that says that God will never do for you what he has given you the mind, the intellect to do for yourself. So if you have the mental model, wrong belief system that God will do it, and God did not do it, in quotes, you will be like that lady that said, God has disappointed me. That said, God has disappointed me. He has a wrong mental charter, wrong mental model, wrong belief system that make him to think God will do what he's supposed to do. You are going to be hired to do a job and you don't have the skill for that job and you want the person to keep you and you're believing God that will allow him to keep you. You know what I discovered about favor? You know what I discovered about luck in life? I discovered the better you prepare, the luckier you get. The harder you work, the luckier you get. Why? Because you are always positioned for opportunity. So when God brings the opportunity, you are ready to take advantage of it. People say you are lucky. No, you are not lucky. Because if you are not prepared, you won't take advantage of that opportunity. You are not lucky. You are just prepared. And God will be fair. He will bring opportunity to everybody. Only few people will be prepared for those opportunities. And because people don't understand this, they have a wrong mindset, a wrong mental model, a wrong belief system. So we create for ourselves an expectation, pain and worry in life. It's not lack of money that is creating pain and worry. It's lack of inability to meet expectation. And unfortunately, you don't have control over life. You only have control over your experience. The way you see that situation, you have control over the way you perceive it and interpret it. But you don't have control over that situation. Things do happen in life. Things do happen. But we have consolation in scripture. It said, even when that situation happened, it will not allow situation beyond your power to happen to you. So the consolation is that I can handle this. I can manage it. It's working together for my good. Those are the truths. Those are the reality. But unfortunately, people have a different mindset. So that means people's belief system are not based on scriptural principles. Their belief system is based on the society, is based on the environment, and because they fall short, it creates stress. It creates stress. It creates stress in their life. The bigger the gap between your expectation of a normal life and the reality of your life, the larger the pain and worry you have. That means you need to first redefine your life expectations. Some people get married, they want to have kids immediately. Society define it. Society define it. Society define it. So the kid does not come year one, year two, they become stressed. Why? Their expectation is that I must have a child within 1 year of marriage. Maybe they were supposed to have Samuel, and Samuel is a special child. It will take a while for him to come. They can't see that. They only know the society say, I must have the child between 1 year of marriage. Human beings, oh my God, it's a big challenge for us as humans, really, because there's just a way we have defined things wrongly for ourselves. If you want to solve the problem, you must redefine your reality. You know, those that define for us, those expectations, society, the media, religious organization, schools, they have wrongly defined for us what expectations should be in life. Now, social media is contributing a lot to that. The society is contributing a lot to that. Religious organization is contributing a lot to that. You know, sometimes you are in a religious gathering and someone who genuinely loves his people will say, nobody will be sick this year. And these are 5,000 people in an environment infested with mosquito, that they will not be sick. It's tough. If they do things that will make them to be sick, they will be sick. If they now say, someone have declared they will not be sick now, but you have exposed yourself to mosquito, they will not be disappointed. After all, it was declared I will not be sick. And that creates a mindset because they have declared now. So it has to come to pass now. So it doesn't come to pass now because the person have actually did not live as the expectation of those declarations. He can even blame God for it. He can even blame God for it. He can even say God is not answering prayer. Why? The message he heard created something in the mind that is really not aligning with the principle of life. Schools teach us that failure is fatal. School teach us that failure is fatal. So when you score below 40, they say you're a failure. School says so. But first in class is not first in life. Most first in life were never first in class. Only few first in class were first in life. But the school paint the picture that if you are first in class, you'll be first in life. Now, you are now first in class, but you realize you were not first in life. You realize you were not first in life, but you were first in class. But you were first in class. But the society says if you are first in class, then you'll be first in life. But that is not true. That is not true. That is not true. But that is a mental model of someone. That is a mental model of someone created by the society and the environment. It's so sad. It's so sad. The way we have allowed the environment to shape our mindset. The society, the media, the schools, the religious organization. And out of all this, most powerful one is the religious organization, because the people that influence society go to a religious organization, a mosque, or a church. Media, people on media, they go to a church or a mosque, or they are traditionalists. Even the teacher in school go to a church, a mosque, or traditionalist. And the most powerful of all the factors that influence our mindset, that make us to have the wrong expectation, the most potent of them and powerful of the religious organization. These have created environment for us. And this environment is what creates the action you take. The resultant effect of this gap is dissatisfaction with yourself and with life. This is acting in ignorance because most of the time, the expectations you created for yourself in life are wrongly defined. The expectations you create for yourself in life are wrongly defined. The expectations you created for yourself in life are wrongly defined. Because they are wrongly defined, you fall short of it, you get worried. One of the ways to test your idea on how to live is to measure by expectation. Is not to measure by the expectation of society. Ask yourself, this is my expectation. Is it based on my life, my belief system? Is it based on my values? Or is it based? Or is it based? Or is it based on what the society said? What is it based on? What is it based on? What is it based on? You know? It's mostly based on the society. It's is mostly based on the society. It's mostly based on the society. And remember, society is always flawed, often flawed, often flawed. Society is often flawed. It's often flawed. Measure your expectation. Ask questions, critical questions about your expectation in life. So instead of looking at society, rather ask yourself that if everybody in this world lived like you and desire what you desire, what would the world look like? So for example, you want to be on the top. That's good. That's good. Always ask that desire you're expecting. That desire you're expecting. Just ask deep question about the desire you're expecting. If the whole world desire that thing, how would the world look like? When you look at the fruit of the Spirit, if everyone on earth have that fruit of the Spirit, the world will be a great place. If everyone have what you desire, will the world be a great place? One reason for the depression in many lives is because they are not doing what they love to do. They are not doing what they are doing because of the love for mankind. They are doing it because of me, myself, and I. That's why I said that thing you desire. Why do you desire it? Is it because it makes the world a better place? Or because of me, myself, and I? They are doing it for themselves. It's a transactional relationship. Many believers have built a transactional relationship with God. So when God is not doing what they are told He will do, they stop living right. Because they were living right, not because of the love for humanity, but because of their personal selfishness. Our expectations are a major problem for us. Major problem. Most of the time, it's not aligning with the principle in scriptures. Sometimes it's not even aligning with what we are called to do. Remember, the cause of stress is not lack of money. It's not lack of job. It's not lack of opportunity. It's gap between reality and expectation. That's the major cause of stress in our life. Now, before we close this evening, let me talk about some of the signs and symptoms of the impact of what we are discussing. Depression. Remember, I take an action. That action led to a very bad situation. It made me become worried, from worry to anxiety, from anxiety to depression, from depression to hopelessness, and hopelessness, suicide. There are different signs and symptoms of depression that you need to be able to identify in order to know if you are already in depression without knowing it. Without knowing it. When you are getting to the place where you cannot understand yourself and you don't know what is happening to you, check it very well. Maybe there's depression. I was talking to a lady recently. He has exam, he has research to do, he's doing an MSc. And he said he just doesn't have the energy. He just doesn't feel like doing what he's supposed to do, what he has paid for. And after talking to her for like 30 minutes, the only conclusion is that, okay, he's already in depression. So it's now therapy to help out of the situation. when you are getting to that place where you cannot understand yourself and what is happening to you, it might be a symptom of depression. If you are physically fine, but you realize that despite your physical fitness, you know that something is not right or something is wrong, it might be because of depression. If you just discovered that you don't have the energy and enthusiasm, and that's one of the major challenges or major characteristics of this we're talking about. You don't have the energy or enthusiasm to be able to do what you will normally need to do or do well. Something you love to do, something you enjoy to do, something you do well, there's no energy. There's no enthusiasm. You just lose sense of everything. It's a sign of depression. A protracted depressed mood is what we're talking about here, not the intermittent mood swing. You know, sometimes you have a mood swing and then you're back. Here is like clinical depression, a protracted depressed mood. Losing interest in activities and pleasure that used to get you excited. And this disinterests you in a protracted manner. It might be a depression sign. What often follows this kind of state is hopelessness. And the consequence of this is suicide. Sometimes it manifests like loss of appetite that is protracted. And even when you eat food that you often love, you will not enjoy it again. You love it, but now you don't enjoy it again. You don't enjoy it again. You don't enjoy it again. This explains the reason why some people lose weight when they are depressed. This explains the reason why some people lose weight when they are depressed. Even though some scientists have reported that some people gain weight when they are depressed, because when they are depressed, they eat too much, struggling to sleep. And even when you sleep, you are not getting the pleasure. You know, you are not getting to the deepest part of sleep. You are at the surface level of sleep. The sleep is not deep. You're not getting the pleasure from sleeping. Your sleeping is not restful, such that when you wake up, you are not able to feel the effect of a restful sleep because of worry, anxiety, and depression. These are symptoms of depression. Another sign is that you sleep too much. Even though you're not getting recovery from that sleep, but you sleep too much, you just want to sleep. You just want to get off your mind and sleep. For those that smoke, they just go and smoke. For those that drink, they just go and drink. Drink away the sorrow. But you know what? It comes back again. It comes back again. It comes back again. A depressed person finds it difficult to pay attention and concentrate on what he is doing. He is lost in thought. He's unable to hold his thought on an activity that he's doing. He's doing something, that person is not good to drive. If he drives, he can have an accident. Someone said it's not in the here and now. Being in the here and now. It's not in the here and now. He's here physically, but spiritually is not here. He's here physically, but spiritually is not here. You are seeing what is happening and know what you want to do, but your mind is clouded. It's like your mind is so clouded, as in clouded. You cannot know. There's so much to do, but you don't know what to do. There's so much to do, but you don't know what to do. And therefore unable to do what you want to do. These are signs of depression. At the height of depression, when it is not dealt with early enough, the person will begin to have suicidal thought. You know why? Because of hopelessness. You know, I don't know if you heard, in recent time, a number of Christians are committing suicide. They are Christians, they go to church, but they are committing suicide. They are Christians, they go to church, but they are committing suicide. Why? Why? People go to church, but they are still worried, full of anxiety. Why? You know, if we don't get ourselves together as Christians and understand the real fight, you know, the devil just messed up with us. We're busy praying sometimes about what a problem that does not exist. And the people pray, 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 nothing is happening. You know why? They are not attacking the real issue. They are not attacking the real issue. You know, the reason why Jesus spent a lot of time teaching his disciples is to change their mind. He said, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So he spent a lot of time teaching so that their mind can be renewed, because they had a very wrong mentality as Jews. Very wrong mentality. Very wrong mindset and mental model. Very, very wrong. He spent a lot of time teaching them. But today we are Christians, we carry the Bible, we saw all this teaching, but for one reason or the other, we want to believe what we want to believe. For one reason or the other, we want to believe what we want to believe. Not what the scriptures say, unfortunately. Not what the scriptures say, unfortunately. We want to believe what we want to believe. So many Christians are committing suicide because there is, you know, we go to church. One of the job of the pastor is to inspire hope, of course, to inspire hope. But you need to also receive that with caution. Not to is inspiring hope, and we must keep hope alive. But you should also know that hope is not a strategy. Hope does not perform. Hope is to help you to get something doing. And that's why hope must be kept alive. But if you don't understand the essence of inspiring hope, you might get to that point of hopelessness. Of hopelessness. Because what you expect and what you see, your reality are entirely different. Entirely different. Entirely different. It's many Christians to become hopeless. Because our reality or expectation are not drawn from scriptural principles. They are drawn from the ideology of men, philosophy of men, not the ideology of Christ. Not the ideology of Christ. Not the ideology of Christ. Because it's not the ideology of Christ. It's not obligated. Many people are losing faith and losing hope. It seems as if Christianity is not working for them. They get to the point that they commit suicide. When you get to the point of hopelessness, when you see that life is not worth living, then suicide is knocking at the door. When you get to the point of hopelessness, when it seems as if life is not yet worth living, suicide is at the door. Suicide is at the door. Suicide is at the door. Excessive feeling of guilt and worthlessness is another characteristic that shows that an individual is in depression. Excessive feeling of guilt and worthlessness. You don't see yourself as worth anything. You don't see life as worth anything. This person, when you examine his life, there's so many things to thank God for, but he has nothing to thank God for. That is the challenge. Your thoughts diverted your attention away from what is good, what is lovely. You know, remember, remember what is good, what is lovely. Remember what is good, what is lovely. Think on these things. You know, you need to find a way to catch yourself as Christians. You need to find a way to catch yourself as saying, when you are having the wrong thought, catch yourself, find a way of catching yourself so you can ensure your thought is in the right direction. At this point, you don't value yourself anymore. You don't see anything good in yourself. You have a degree. Some people don't even have education. You don't see anything good in yourself. You are alive. Some people are dead. You don't see anything good in yourself. You are living in the city. Some are in the village. You don't even know where names will come from. You don't have anything good in yourself. You still have a place to sleep. You still have food to eat. You still have clothes you are wearing. You don't still see anything good in yourself. The devil have messed up the mind of many. Messed up the mind of many. Ladies and gentlemen, I put it to you that the battle is in your mind. The battle is in the mind. This is done subconsciously. People are so depressed, they don't see anything good in themselves. The next stage is to begin to see the worthlessness of living in the first place. The person begins to see the worthlessness of living in the first place. The person begins to see the worthlessness of living in the first place. Why? The mind has been messed up. The mind has been messed up. The mind has been messed up because of wrong thinking. And this is done subconsciously. A feeling that makes you to pay too much attention on your failure and lack. A feeling that makes you to pay too much attention on your weaknesses are symptoms of depression. A feeling that makes you to pay too much attention on your lack, on your inadequacies, on your failure, on your weaknesses, on your mistakes. You are always thinking about what you've done wrong all the time. You never see anything good in yourself. They are symptoms of depression. If that is not curtailed, it will lead to hopelessness. Suicide is knocking at the door. If that is not curtailed, it leads to hopelessness, and suicide is knocking at the door. Suicide is knocking at the door. Suicide is knocking at the door. So often, depressed people have what is called anxiety. And this anxiety is not dependent on them. They are always restless, pacing about. They cannot be at peace with themselves. This is done subconsciously in trying to awake themselves, and they cannot function if they begin to continue to behave like this. One of the most common signs of depression that people have is lack of energy, feeling of fatigue for the whole day. Lack of energy and feeling of fatigue for the whole day. Lack of energy and feeling of fatigue for the whole day. Remember, you take an action, the action leads to an unfortunate incident. That unfortunate incident creates worry. And remember what I said at the beginning. Don't think about the bad situation. Think in scriptures, whatsoever things are true. Always remember, if you can remember this, that anytime you have fear in your mind, which is a sign of worry, it's a thought that is making that fear come. Always remember, that thought that is making that fear to come is not from God, it's from the devil. God is love. There is no fear in love. Perfect love casts out fear. So immediately you know worry setting, always remember that devil at work. That's why Paul warned us seriously. We do not war after the flesh. The weapon of our warfare are not carnal. They are mighty through God to the pulling down of stronghold. The stronghold is in the mind. And he said, casting down imagination. That is that imagination. Something has happened now. You are imagining the evil. You are imagining that, if this continues, what will happen? That imagination is exactly what you should cast down. Because that imagination is exalting itself against the truth, the knowledge of God. And you must bring it into captivity. It must be under your control. Your thought must be under your control. Your thought must be under your control. You must think what is lovely, what is true. You must think what is lovely, what is true. You must think what is lovely, what is true. You must think what is praiseworthy, what is honest, what is just, what is pure, what is lovely, what is of good report, what is of virtue. That is what you should think about. That is what you should think about. Immediately worry set in, always remember, the devil is the father of liar. He's the father of liar. He's the one that brings fear. Any fear in the mind is from the devil. He's the father of liar. That thought is a lie. That thought is a lie. That thought is a lie. When people are depressed, they find it difficult to do little things that people do easily. They can't wash. They can't listen to seminar. They find it difficult to sleep. Getting out of bed is difficult. They don't want to get out of bed. They just start tossing and turning, tossing and turning, tossing and turning. They don't even have energy to go and bath. Why? Depression. As I close this evening, remember, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. The weapon of our warfare are not carnal. They are mighty through God to the pulling down of stronghold, casting down imagination. Lord have mercy. Casting down imagination. Casting down imagination. Casting down imagination. Casting down imagination. That is what is creating the worry. You have done something wrong. They said this is what they are going to do about it. They might sack, or you are not meeting your number at work, and they are going to sack people that do not meet their number. Imagination. If they sack me and I lose that job, I'm done for. I'm finished. I can't feed my family. I can't pay rent. You're already imagining imagination. Imagination. Casting down imagination and everything that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. And bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. And bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. And bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, as we close this morning and this evening, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are of good report, whatsoever things are praiseworthy, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are virtuous, think on these things. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for being able to join tonight. I can see a lot of new people tonight. I've dropped a link in the chat box. You can click on the link so you can get to know when we are having next session. Because next week there will be public holiday, so we are going to have sessions in the evening of those public holiday on the 2 days. Actually, we're going to have a session in the evening on those 2 days. So we said we'll be exploring all public holiday sessions. So we'll be having a session in the evening. I don't know if it's Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, Friday, whatever it is will be, and we'll see our session on Saturday. I've dropped the link in the chat. You can click on the link so you can join the WhatsApp group, so you can be able to have the link to every session we have if you are just joining us for the first time. All right. Let me hear from you tonight. Asin Sheung Adewale, let me hear from you. What have you learned tonight? Hello, Sheung, are you there?
Thank you very much, sir.
Hello?
I've learned a lot. Yes, good evening, sir. Good
Can you
evening,
hear me?
sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I can. I can.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for the session. It was very powerful, and I really appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
one of the things I learned is that hope is not a strategy.
Hope is not.
Yeah. Hope is not a strategy. If beggars, one should just not be hoping and using religious statement to be saying things.
Yeah.
I hope God will make me a millionaire or billionaire. Without working, it will not work out. And a lot of people they are passing through a lot because of having some religious statement. I hope to do this without working, and by the time their hope are not met,
You
they
become very
disappointed.
Yes. You become very, very disappointing and make it very difficult for people to just keep on. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Oluseun Odulano. Oluseun Odulano, are you there, please? I appreciate your comment. Thanks for coming tonight. Oluseun Odulano.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. The program was enlightening, and I also learned the aspect of doing your part in achieving God's promises, in claiming God's promises. We have to do our part as well. We should just claim it lips wise. So there's work involved to avoid depression and its consequences.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Olayinka Godwin. Olayinka Godwin, good evening. How are you? Olayinka, are you there? Okay, Olayinka. Okay, yes, go ahead, please. Good evening.
Yes, sir. I really, for the time I joined, I really get abroad. But also God will give us be able to tell everything happy. So, really, also actually, that God for Christ, this is what is taking many lives. So,
yeah.
The consolation is only those when you are in Christ. And me, I also see it's not good to be open. There is need of action. So, the master situation you are in life, not you that want to just conclude that one. I will go to work. Maybe you need action. So I may not be a first class, may be a first class, or you may not be a first class. Then you can pull up your mind at once. I need to call somebody and ask, put it into practice. So, we appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ifeanyi, are you there? Hello, Ifeanyi. Ifeanyi, Nii, are you there tonight? You came very late. Were you able to pick up anything? Okay, Nia and Ifeanyi, I'm not sure they are with us tonight. If you are joining us for the first time, I dropped the link in the chat. Kindly click on the link so you can join the group, and then we can you can get to know when we are having the next session. Kindly click on the link so you can join the group. I've dropped the link again. If you click on the link, Nii, go ahead. Hello, Nii. Kemi, welcome. You came Good
evening, sir.
Good evening. Yeah, Nii, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, I joined quite late. Well, from this session, I really don't have much to say. But then I think one of the things I just got was the fact that we're not our situations above the commandments and the thought of God towards us as even believers. So for me, I think it's a wrong thing. So today, I have a biblical passage to even go along with that line of thought for believers. So most of the times when things happen, I feel it happens for a reason. So for the same reason, we're supposed to pick some lessons, not to remain in the state of that emotional distress and still depressed in that situation. But for me, the strategy I usually adopt is if I find myself in a situation where I feel okay, this is not a situation, this is not a mood I want to remain in. So I just pick up one or two past achievements and
think about it.
Just to be happy about achieving such things.
Yes.
I think about it and I'm happy. And I say to myself, okay, yes, I was able to achieve this at a particular point in time. So that means I've done something worth remembering, worth celebrating.
Yes.
Okay. From a situation where I find myself, okay, if I find myself in this situation of, okay, probably I've failed at something, then if I can find myself remembering what I've achieved in the past, I can, okay, if I've failed right now, it means that I did something wrong. So all I need to do is figure out what was wrong and attempt to solve the same problem or face the same challenge in a different manner. And from there, I move on. So I don't keep myself in that mode of depression or frustration. So I think it also boils down to us appreciating the little baby steps that we have taken. Some of us don't appreciate our little so it's a matter of time. Every little step you take right now takes you closer to that destination. So for me tonight, the basic thing is to be able to relate life situation, especially the one that has to do with depression that most people are going through right now, with a biblical passage where we've always said on this platform that most of the time when believers read the biblical passage, it's like they don't read for information, they don't read to be inspired of how applicable these passages are related to our lives. We rather just read to spiritualize them.
Yeah.
So it's also an important session for me tonight that I see a biblical passage that I've been reading most of the time, and I never thought, okay, it's also related to depression. Though I've always seen that passage as a powerful passage that, okay, then God has always, he told us in his word that the thoughts I have towards you are thoughts of peace and not of evil.
Yes.
But most of the time we bring in the thoughts of evil upon ourselves, and then the devil will help. Yeah, that's just the tricky situation. The devil now helps to reinforce that thought to make it seem as if it is the real deal. It is the situation that must and the only situation that we can only find ourselves. So it becomes something predominant in our thoughts and ruling over all our thoughtful actions. So we feel that anything we want to do right now cannot amount to anything because we're already thinking of negative results. So yeah, sometimes I think what I've found to deduce from my life experience is that at one point in time, everyone will find his or herself in that situation where that feeling of setback. But the problem, sir, is what I was also saying is that for most believers, because our leaders in church, our leaders in church don't make it seem as if they also pass through the same life experience. They make it seem as if it's not an experience that anyone called believer should even pass through. So if you have passed through it or you are passing through it means that you have sinned, and it's not necessarily because you have sinned. It's not necessarily because you have sinned. It could just come as a result of lack of something or failure to achieve some goals and things like that. They might even be in spiritual pursuits that you feel like, oh, I am not here, I am this and that and things like that. But then for me, I think I've come to realize that everyone has these same feelings, and it's a matter of what we now do to come out of the situation that really matters. So for me, the strategies has been to look out for what I've achieved in the recent time, then take a lesson from what I'm passing through and look out for possible steps to take to move on and get a better result in subsequent experiences. So that's for me about tonight's
session.
Thank you.
Ifeanyi, are you available now? Hello, Ifeanyi. Hello, Ifeanyi. Okay, I saw you on mute. I thought you were available. Hello, Kemi. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Madam, are you back or you are still over there?
I'm almost back. Oh,
you're not back yet.
I'm not back yet. I joined on Facebook.
Oh, you joined on Facebook. Okay, so tell me, what have you learned tonight?
I've learned so much. I just want to give a little bit of encouragement and recommendation.
Brilliant.
At some point,
brilliant.
Like I was at that stage of depression, and now what I've learned is that the depression of a thing can be caused by so many things.
Yeah.
You said our thought process and the things going on in our environment.
Yeah.
So it's in our best interest to identify things that can trigger those thoughts, things that can trigger, just like you mentioned about a job. If I lose my job now, how will I make ends meet? How will I support my family and all of that? So ideally, if you know that is something that can happen, you can prepare by making sure you have multiple streams of income.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you know that
instead of hoping that it will not happen.
Instead of hoping or worrying that it will not happen, and some people, they don't have anything to fall back on. If those kind of things happen, some people might not even be able to survive it because the stress and and what they will go through. Some people die, they can't survive it. You see some pensioners, because they can't get their pension, they can't take care of themselves, they'll lose their life. So instead of waiting for some of these things that can trigger our worries to happen, then we should be proactive in terms of, okay, what can I do? I mean, somebody mentioned about hope. It's not just hoping that something will not happen, or just hoping that you will be fine. If you don't work towards being fine, you are not prepared, you don't know the word, you are not praying, you are not putting in your best effort, things will not fall on your laps. Yeah. And when things don't happen, you will suffer.
Yes.
And when you are suffering, worried, when problems comes, you'll be worried, especially problems that you can solve without even disturbing God. Do you understand?
Yeah.
They are giving us the power and the ability to do. Look at the case of being lazy. If you are lazy and you are not hardworking and you are not taking your life or your source of income seriously, you will beg for food. So you will now call some. You will now say, please borrow me 1,000 there. The person now talks to you anyhow. You will now drop the phone and you now start worrying and thinking and wishing that no, you have put yourself in that position. It's the situation around you that have caused that. So you should be able to wake up and see that, okay, I don't want to see myself in a situation where I will be being the one being embarrassed, that so that when somebody sees your call, the next thing they will say, don't pick it, oh, it's money he wants to beg. Do you understand? So I'm just looking at that angle, that we should identify areas of our lives that we know that if I get to this point, I'll be worried. I know some people, there are some problems in their life, no matter how difficult that area of their life is, they are not worried about it. Maybe they've trained maybe they've prepared themselves for it. Some people, in terms of even relationship or marriage, some people will go through heartbreak or something, and you will wonder that how did they cope? So maybe they've prepared themselves. They provided a coping mechanism for them. For me, when I was in abroad, and I later discovered that it was because of the environment that I was having that depression. There was family, nobody around me. I was alone. You live in a country where you and your neighbor might not see yourself for months. Even if you see the neighbor and you pass by and you say hello, the neighbor might not answer you. Do you understand? So I later discovered that I don't like being, I don't like being in such kind of environment. So I said to myself that whenever I'm going to travel out for study or something, I won't go alone. And as God will have it, I got married in between, and then I got married before I came for this one. So I came here with my husband because I knew that if I came here alone again, no family around, nobody to talk to, I knew the loneliness then almost led me to depression. So at some point, so there was finally there was a book that my friend recommended. Then I was in abroad and I was going through this phase. So I was talking to my friend, and at some point he became concerned that, okay, first, I know you are alone there, but you also need to change your thought process, just like you have taught. So he recommended a book by Dale Carnegie, how to stop worrying and start living. Yeah. So immediately on that same day, I ordered the book on Amazon. I got it, and so I started reading that book. And I can tell you that book it has really changed my life. And the person that recommended this book is a Muslim. Is a Muslim. Do you understand? I'm like, when I read it to a point, I now called him. I'm like, how come you did you read this book? He said, yes, that I read it. That why won't you read it? That the principles there, they are principles of life.
Yes.
That irrespective of your religion, if you apply it, you will see the results.
Yes.
So I will encourage anybody, if you know, you can recommend it to people that you know in that kind of if you read it, you will know that there's really nothing to be worried about in this life.
Yes.
Nothing.
Yes.
Absolutely nothing. Because there are things that you can't change. There are things that even if you change them, you are still going to have one. While I know they finish. While I know they finish, you cannot kill yourself before your. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, Nii, you raised up your hand. I saw your hand. Nii, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to reference what she said about being a Muslim. For me, I've discovered something. It's like the people from the other religion are more focused on principles than we have from this religion.
Even though we have those principles in scriptures. Hello? We can't hear you again. Wow.
Yeah, is it more about a book than they read their book set? Hello, I can see you, sir.
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I said it seems that these people focus on books of principles than even we that have the books, that were blessed with the books.
Yes.
And they tend to read more of our books. I also have a Muslim guy, a friend. This guy has read more books than I've ever come across. And he's a young guy. And sometimes he'll just tell me, okay, we'll go and read this book. I will not be wondering. This is a Muslim telling me to go and read some books. And these are books written by pastors of churches, foreign, local, and I'm like, where am I? Where am I when he was reading all these books? And, I just hope we in this generation can wake up to the importance of searching out for knowledge, and knowledge in terms of principles that really works with us. So that's just what I want to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. And those that came late, I think Mary came late. Okay, it's only Mary. LCCC, I don't know that name. We say we talk to me later on. So we are meeting on either Thursday or Friday. I don't know when the public holiday will be. But if you are just joining, kindly click on the link in the chat. Immediately we know the date of holiday, we are going to drop the link for, we're going to have 2 sessions during the holiday in the evening. It's either going to be Wednesday, Thursday, or Thursday, Friday. I don't know yet. But we're definitely going to have part 3 and part 4, and then we have part 5 on Saturday. Thank you very much for being able to make it tonight. Kindly tell your friends. I will also drop the recorded version. So for those of us that want to listen or share with our friends, have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.